Hello again, and for one final time during this series, welcome to the last episode of this tutorial series for One More Multiverse. Today, we're going to be talking about a few advanced tools and features that are absolutely not necessary to run a smooth game on One More Multiverse, but they are features that do enhance your game, and if you want to explore them, then hopefully after this video, you'll be able to do so at your own pace. Last time in the GM tools, we finished by talking about the right-click menu that comes up when you select an object or an NPC, and we talked about the most important options in those menus, and today we'll continue with that exploration and I'll guide you through the remaining options. This tutorial is going to be a bit more intense, a bit more in-depth, a bit more boring, you might say, but if you are here for the advanced tools, then power through it, it will be worth it. Bear with me. So, I'd say let's jump back into the right-click menu associated with any objects. Objects, again, are all the objects you see on screen that are not NPCs. For example, columns, stairs, gold, statues, all those assets we'll be calling objects. Okay, let's right-click any object to bring up that same menu we've seen in the last tutorial again. Some of these, as I've already mentioned, we've discussed. Now let's get to the ones we didn't touch on. The first one I want to bring up is the Make Portal option. When we talked about the world map in one of the other tutorials, I showed you that you could connect each level through these portals. This is how you travel. You've also learned this during the in-platform tutorial if you've seen it already. If you haven't, please go see it. If you click that option, you'll see that this level you're currently on is selected as the origin level, of course, and then you'll be able to choose your destination level, and traveling through this portal will take you to the level you've chosen. We then have the Assign Sheet option, and if you've played around with sheets a little bit, you might know what this is about. If not, we'll briefly be talking about making your custom sheets later on in this tutorial, but if you do have experience making sheets, doing this basically allows you to add either an existing sheet or a new sheet to an object. This is very niche, but if you ever need an object to have stats, or you want to keep track of a counter in an object or something like that, this is a way you can do it. After that, we have the layering options. This hopefully is very self-explanatory. When you want to layer objects in relation to each other, you use these four options to either send it all the way to the back of the scene, all the way to the front, or layer them in between the existing layers with the two middle options. We've already talked about transform and flip. This brings us to another collapsible menu here in Edit, and this brings us to the more advanced stuff that will deal with the way the object interacts with the players and other objects around it, basically. Copy, self-explanatory, is just another way to use the eyedropper tool if you don't want to be switching tools constantly. Lighting is an option that you can add to any object. It comes by default in objects that already have light, like candles or torches, but if you want to add light to a specific object that doesn't come with a light, this is the option you use. Clicking that option opens a sub-menu. You can choose the color of the light, the intensity, if it flickers, if it wraps around objects, that is the dynamic lighting option. And don't forget, once you're done choosing the options, you have to click light enabled for it to actually show up. Continuing down the list, you have the Set as Spawn Point option. You can click this if you want this specific object to be considered as a spawn point when you're creating portals and connections between levels. And if you want it to be the default point where players spawn in a level, then you need to toggle the option below, which is Set as Default Spawn Point. Underneath that, we have the lock option, which is also self-explanatory. If you don't want anyone to mess with the object, including you, the GM, by mistake, then press lock. And then, in order to be able to toggle any of these options in right-click menu, you'll need to unlock it first. Because One More Multiverse works in a semi-3D space, there will be some collision problems here and there, and obviously there are tiles that are non-walkable, like the void tile or the ocean tiles. If you want to allow your players to pass through unwalkable regions or obstacles, you can make any object in that region a bridge. Obviously, this is useful for actual bridge assets, and some of them already come with this by default. For example, if a player wanted to scale a column, you could make it a bridge and players could then walk up it. On the opposite case, if you want to stop players from going somewhere, you can turn any asset into an obstacle, which means that its bounding box will be untraversable, players will bump against it, and they won't be able to continue further into the level. And finally, the last of these environmental interaction options is the make into floor object option. If you turn an asset into a floor object, it will always be walkable and it will always be on the lowest layer. So this comes by default on rug assets, for example, stuff like that, that is meant to go on the bottom layer and just doesn't get in the way of play at all. Finally, the last option, delete, is the same as using the asset eraser, so I'm not gonna worry too much about explaining that one at this point. That is all for the object right-click menu. Let's continue further to the NPC right-click menu. This one's gonna be slightly shorter. We already covered some of them, including in this recap we just did for the objects one. So I'll just touch on 3 options here, starting with the edit statuses. Many games have types of statuses that you can attribute to players and NPCs, and we've included a neat way to keep track of them. And to do that, you just need to come to this option here in the right-click menu, where you can choose between a pre-made list of statuses, and if you want to make your custom ones, I'll talk you through it briefly later on during this tutorial. Next up, we have Send Chat Whisper. If you recall, when we visited the chat pod in one of the earlier tutorials, you'll remember that we had the /name command to message specific people. You can do the same with NPCs. And if you don't want to be typing the name of the NPC, maybe it's a very complicated name to write, you can just right click and hit this option, Send Chat to Whisper, and this will immediately copy the / command into your chat, and you can just type whatever message you want and send it directly to that NPC, and the GM will be able to see it on their own side in chat. And yes, this is mainly for players, but the next option I'm going to show you will showcase why that might not be always the case. And that option is the Assign option, and assigning an NPC means that you're giving control of that NPC to a specific player, even if they don't have GM powers at all. This is great when you have stuff like companions, or you have NPCs that will be involved in combat, but you don't want to run them as the GM and want to give them off to a player. You can just go here, click Assign, choose the player you want to assign that NPC to, and let them control them whenever they want. That is all for the right-click menu. I think it was in-depth enough, and hopefully you've got a grasp of what you can do with objects and NPCs. Now I think it's time we move along to a hopefully exciting part of this tutorial, which is making your own levels. We've talked a lot about repurposing levels from our library, using backdrops, using backgrounds, but we haven't really touched upon creation, right? We briefly visited the creation pod, not too much in depth, but I want to show you the flow I like to use to create my own levels. For that, let's create a new level quickly, which we've seen how we do, right? We just click the new level tool here, and now we can do one of 2 things. We can either choose a pre-made level that we already have, fully fleshed out, and tweak it. That's a bit what I already showed you how to do. So let's go with one of our basic templates. These in the library are called a blank template. In this case, we have, as you can see, a cave template, a desert template, an ocean template, all the templates. And actually, this is one we've added recently, so I want to go and test it out while I'm at it. So we'll be making an ocean template. It's very easy. We've been through this. You just click the level here. Let's not travel everyone, nor create a portal for now, and just hit create. And voila, we are in a slightly well put template, but not juiced up. It doesn't have any specific characteristics, any exciting stuff. And this is exactly what we're going to do now. I don't want to take too much time in this tutorial designing a level. I am not a level designer. It would look very ugly, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. Let's not try it. But I will indeed show you how you can quickly find stuff and enhance your level building experience. Obviously, we've talked about the creation pod. Let's go back to the creation pod and open it up. And you'll see something I haven't mentioned before, but is clear to you now, hopefully, is that the creation pod is divided by categories: nature, home, streets, shops, etc. For this specific level, perhaps we want to build some kind of hut, a seaside hut. That would be cool. We can probably start by going into buildings, searching a little bit. Maybe there's a pre-made hut we can use. There we go. There are a few. Maybe we want to build something from scratch, so we take the building tag off, and we search for wood. See, there's some archways, you can place one, and we already now have the power of the right-click menu, so if we wanted to make this bigger, we could, like this. Continue on. Maybe there's a few torches we want to place, etc. Very easy, just follow your mind's eye, search for the assets that you want to place in the level, and hopefully we'll have something that works for you. If we do not have assets that work for you, but you have access to other pixel art packs, you can always just click the green plus and upload environment assets through here. You can just click the upload button, search your computer, and do so in this way. In addition to assets, if there's nothing that visually represents an NPC you want to bring into your game, you can create new NPCs with our character creator by going to this exact same green plus button and hit NPC instead of the other options. You'll be prompted to name it, and once you click generate character, you'll be taken to our character creator. You can just have fun with it and make an NPC to either torment or delight your players. If you've installed a specific bundle, and we'll go through how to do that in just a few minutes, you can also filter by the bundles you have installed. Perhaps if you've installed a bundle called beach assets, this is the perfect occasion to just filter by those assets. But basically, the world is your oyster here. Feel free to build at your heart's content. Once you are done and you want to save this level for posterity, you can come back to the level settings spot here, and under template, there's the 3 dots here that you can click and quickly hit save as template. This menu will show up and you'll be able to name your template, add a description, add some tags, and that means that next time you create a level, you'll be able to choose from this template inside this verse. There's a few more options, slightly more experimental, that's why they're slightly hidden away, but there's something called the magic bar here at One More Multiverse that lists most features that we currently offer in all the pods in one list menu. To access the magic bar, you need to hit Ctrl K, and you'll see there's a list of things you can do. For example, setting backdrops or staging characters you can do through here if it's easier for you. What we just discussed, saving as a template, there's also this here. You can search for options here as well by typing. Another one that I want to show you that might be useful for you is the add light feature, and that just adds a bodiless light into your level. If you're making something more vibey, more mystical, this will be super helpful for you. Once you select that option, just place it wherever you want, and as you can see, it stays there. To edit it, you just need to switch to the select tool and this light bulb will appear, and this basically is the physical body of that light that won't be seen by neither you or the players unless they have the select tool and GM powers. To tweak it, same thing, works as a normal asset, just go into lighting and adjust things as you see fit. By the way, if you want to add a bodiless light and don't want to use the magic bar, it's also here in the same old green plus button under lights. You just click on a map and same thing. Speaking of lights, let me show you another advanced tool that might be useful for you to run your games. This is the vision and movement options here in the verse home and settings menu. To access that, you just go to the top left corner and click the on logo. And under vision and movement, you can choose basically how your players see the level they're currently in. By default, this is open and free, which means that vision is completely open, players can see everything, and movement is free. They can walk anywhere. If you toggle exploration on, it means that players will uncover the map with their movement. If you toggle tunnel, it means that players will only see the map in a radius around their characters. And if you toggle alone, it means the players will only see a bubble around their own character, not the bubbles around the other characters in the party. Here you can tweak the radius of exploration, tunnel, and alone. And finally, if you want illuminated objects to be visible wherever they are, wherever the vision mode is, you can just toggle on light reveal vision, and players will be able to see areas with lights in them from wherever they are, regardless of vision mode you're currently in. As for movement, free, as I said, lets the players go anywhere. Together means they need to stay within a radius of each other, and frozen completely stops their movements and they can't move. This is similar to the pause time feature we already touched on, so 2 ways to do the same thing. And finally, the last thing I want to show you is the obscurity option. By default, it's partial, which means that regardless of the vision mode you're in, players will see this shaded out outline of the map. But if you switch it to full, it will be pitch black and they won't see even the outlines of what the map looks like. Okay, cool. We've talked about all the ways you can build a level. We've touched on a few more advanced tools. We talked about how you can upload your own assets if you don't have enough for you, make your own NPCs. But there are more things that OM provides that it seems you can't add your own custom versions of, but that's not quite true. All the internal tools we use to update and upload our new content are available to you. They are slightly trickier to use. That's why they got shoved into the advanced tools tutorial here. but let me at least show you how you can do them, and then you can explore them at your own pace. Under this same verse, home, and settings menu, there is an option called Manage Assets. And this takes you to what we call the back end of your verse that includes all the types of assets that we provide. And by assets, we mean anything we might call onto later. It can be as simple as a list of all the level templates, it can be as simple as the environment assets, both the ones you provide plus the ones you've already uploaded through the common way I've shown you. But things you can't seemingly upload through the main platform can be created here. This is the case for outfits, statuses, sheet templates, role types. If you're playing 5e specifically, this is where you would make your custom homebrewed classes and subclasses in order for them to appear in the character creation flow we've touched upon in the character creation and sheets tutorial part. This is also where you can make your custom homebrewed 5e items, kinds, subkinds, whatever you need to run the game your way. This is where you'd come and make your own homebrewed versions of. Obviously, you can get away by just doing a blank sheet and filling it in by hand, but if you want it to be included in the automated loop I've shown in the Sheets tutorial, then you would need to create them through here in the Managed Assets. As I said, this is pretty advanced stuff, so I invite you to try your hand at creating something that you really want to include in your games here in the Managed Assets menu. And if you can't quite figure it out, join our Discord server. There are people there that will be happy to help you, members in our community that have used it to make their own content packs, members of our support team that are happy to guide you through this process. So don't hesitate, join our Discord server, ask your questions there. Hopefully all answers you're seeking will be there. Cool, we've made our levels, we've uploaded our assets, we've made our own custom NPCs, we even maybe made a custom 5e kind, who knows? Now, this lives in this verse. What can I do with it? I want to use it in my other campaign that I have another verse for it. Or maybe I want to share it with the community and put it in the marketplace for people to use. Well, don't worry, I'll teach you how to mess with bundles now. For that, it's very simple. Here in the top left, there's this icon here called Verse Management. If you click it, you'll immediately be taken to the marketplace. We've already touched on this in previous tutorials, so you can install your own content, you can use it to build your levels, run your games, but that's not what we're after now. We want to create our own bundle. For that, very simple, there's the button right there, Create Bundle. You give it a title, give it a description, give it a category. For now, we include stuff like just a pack of assets, completely ready to play one-shots, ready to play campaigns, entire game systems, entire world settings. Up to you. If you want, you can sign the bundle to make sure people know who made it, upload a header image, a footer image. If you want to place it on a marketplace, I highly recommend doing this. We do support GIFs as well here, so if you want to make it flashy, maybe upload a GIF and people will be more visually drawn to it and maybe install your bundle more times. Who knows? And then once you're ready, you switch to the Assets tab and start adding anything you've created. You can search for the names here. For example, if we want level templates, let's see, forests. We toggle off all types of assets we don't want. And finally, there we go. All level templates named forest, and we can find the one we've created, place it here, maybe add the assets we uploaded that we made with our own two hands. And there are two more options here that you can toggle on that I'll explain how they work in just a second. For now, just know that there are two concepts here, one of a wiki and one of a level network. And I'll show you how to create both these items in order to be able to bundle them and share with everyone. Once you're ready, just hit save, and there it is, your bundle right there. And you go to these little three dots here, and you can now hit publish. The moment you publish, you can now copy the bundle ID, and you can use this to import the bundle in other verses, share it directly with people. If you want to share it to the marketplace, the only thing you need to do is toggle the show in marketplace toggle right there, and it will then show up for everyone to see, and they can install it directly to their accounts. If you no longer want the bundle to be present, you can just hit unpublish, and it will get rid of it completely. Whenever you tweak the bundle, you might want to hit publish updates. Otherwise, the moment you import, it will import the version before you made any changes to the bundle. So keep that in mind. While you're here, another thing that exists in the verse management menu is the player settings tab. This is very straightforward. This is just where you see everyone in the verse, and it's also where you can grant and remove co-GM power. multiverse. The other menus here allows you to give selective usage of tools to everyone in the verse. For example, if you actually don't mind your players having creation powers to add little cinematic items here and there when narratively convenient, you can give them access to the creation pod. If you want to have the players be able to change the mood and the music and the vibes, then give them access to the ambience and cinematic tools, and so on and so on. You can tweak these as you see fit. Finally, the secrets tab here allows you to control what by default players can and cannot see. Some GMs like to play with like open HP, others prefer it to be hidden. Up to you. We just added the options here in case you don't agree with our defaults, basically. Cool. This is verse management. I promised I was going to show you 2 more things and it will wrap up this tutorial. A lot of information crammed in one tutorial, so I don't want to go on for too long. I want you to also be able to explore on your own. So let's now talk about level networks and wiki. Let's start with the level network because it will be quicker. So we visited the world map already, but I did not show you how to export your world map, right? The level network. This is very simple. Here under advanced, you click advanced, you see export world map, you can click it and it will now be available for you to bundle when you create your own bundle. As easy as that. By the way, if you ever want to import an additional level network, an additional world map to tack onto yours, you can just do so through here. As long as you have it installed in the verse, it will show up here. You can just select the one you want and add it. Easy. All right, finally, the wiki. So I think we all know there are several types of GMs and players, and some of them really like to log things extensively. And we've added a notebook for you if you are that type of GM or that type of player. That is called the wiki. It lives here in your main action bar. If you are in the 5e verse, the basic rules will show up. If you're in the Blades verse, the Blades rules will show up. If you're playing Yazebas, all the chapters will be here. But you can also create new pages for your notes, for your lore, for your campaign. It's very easy. Just click new page and a new one will be created. You can give it a title, start typing. This does allow for text formatting, so go wild with it. Upload a cover, make it beautiful. If it's notes that you as the GM want to keep secret, you can just untoggle the visible to players option here. If you've prepared extensive lore and want to give it as a readout for your players before they join then you can just click share and it will open up as a browser window individually. This is pretty much it. Go wild with it. One small thing, if all this white page is bothering you in contrast with the dark UI that we have, you can just toggle on dark mode. Absolutely fine. Works wonders. Boom. Beautiful. Okay, if before this tutorial we already had all the tools we needed to run a game in a smooth way, now you have all the tools you need to be entertained for ages. Go wild if you want to, make your own levels, upload your own assets, make your own 5e classes, make your own outfits, write your wiki, embellish your verse landing page, make a bunch of templates and a world map, bundle it all together, write a one-shot. The world is your oyster. Up to you. I'm excited to see what you that stuck until the end of the series will do on One More Multiverse. I'm excited to see your name pop up in the marketplace as the top downloaded one-shot or the top downloaded asset pack. Very, very excited to see what you create. And as always, if you have anything else you want me to explain, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you've missed all the other tutorials, we'll be dropping the links to those videos down in the description as well. And this time around, I can't say I'll see you in the next section of this tutorial because this is the final one. So instead, just one final goodbye. I am Nuno, dev here at One More Multiverse. Happy to have gone on this journey with you. Have fun playing.